Tonight on Democracy and Justice Show, we are honored to welcome Ambassador Dan Mozena, the former US Ambassador to Bangladesh. We will discuss the upcoming Bangladesh election, its credibility, political challenges, and what it means for the democracy and international relations. Ambassador Mozena, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. And what a historic time for us to have this chat tonight. Right now, Bangladeshis are at the polls voting. Wow. They're
It
making
is.
history.
It is actually, it is. And I'm very lucky actually to have you. You were the ambassador to Bangladesh, US ambassador to Bangladesh from 2011 to 2015. Even before that, you were the counselor of economic and political affairs in Bangladesh, 1998 to 2001. So you do have a lot of memories and expertise on this topic, I believe.
Oh, I have more than that. I buried my heart in Bangladesh. If you go to the U.S. Embassy today, and as you approach the front door of the embassy on the
Mhm.
right side, that's where my heart is. It's a country that I came to love, a people I came to love, and so my passion and my affection is in Bangladesh. And that's why I'm with the people of Bangladesh today as they make history literally right now.
Yes. Let's talk about all of this thing. Let me ask you first that you retired, if I'm not mistaken, after the ambassador to Bangladesh was your last assignment. You retired in 2015 around that timeline. How closely do you follow Bangladesh's affairs since you retired?
Well, first of all, I have to correct you a little bit.
Yes.
I retired the first time in 2015.
Mhm.
I was retired for 4 weeks, and then I was rehired by the Department of State and worked there another 4.5 years. And so I retired a second time in 2019, and that was my real retirement.
I say.
I see, as you would expect for someone who feels so much about Bangladesh. I stay very connected. I have friends there. I stay in touch with them. I follow the media. Of
Mhm.
course, I'm thousands of miles away. So it's not like those days when I was there as ambassador, where I had my finger on the pulse of the nation. But now I try to follow it the best I can. And of course, it's so exciting to see what's happening. Uh,
Mhm.
Let me tell you something very honestly. I always thought I would see the day when the statues to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman
Mhm.
would be pulled down because I knew the people at some point would just have had enough of this. I
Mhm.
never dreamt it would happen so soon. I didn't see that coming, but happen it did, and and now it's playing out, uh, and it's very exciting. I just have to tell you one more thing. Uh,
Please.
I never guessed that the people who would bring about the revolution of Bangladesh would have the wisdom, the
Mhm.
foresight to see that they themselves did not have the experience, the ability, the credibility to lead the nation after regime change, August 5, 2024. Uh,
Mhm.
and, and they had the wisdom to turn to the most qualified Bangladeshi I know, and I know a lot of Bangladeshi,
Mhm.
Professor Muhammad Yunus, perfect person to lead the nation in transition to democracy.
Yeah. From your response, actually, it sounds like you didn't like the ousted Hasina's regime. My question is to you: Sheikh Hasina's regime is considered widely fascist today. When you were the ambassador to Bangladesh, I'm talking about 2011 to 2015. That was a very crucial time. That when the Hasina regime was getting authoritarian and fascist. Did you sense it back then? What did you like and what did you didn't like about her?
Well, I'm not one to look backwards so much. Uh, I believe fervently in democracy. I believe in the democratic process. I believe that people should choose their governance. Uh,
Mhm.
and I don't think that belief was being practiced by the Awami League at all at that time. And that's no surprise. You know that. Everybody
You
knows that.
sense it. You sense it too, right? As a foreign country's ambassador, you were seeing, or you were seeing the pattern that probably somehow a elected government is turning into an authoritarian one back then. Did you?
Well, what I saw was a diminishing respect for democracy, for the democratic process, for the respect of basic human rights.
Hmm.
And my government, and I was the representative of the American government at that time, we conveyed these views. Uh, and I must say, Sheikh Hasina was not terribly fond of me, to put it mildly.
We know it. We know it. We know it. Yes,
She,
I remember.
yeah,
I
well,
mean, I
what
mean,
do you
I mean,
say?
I'm ashamed to say, but since you brought that up, I believe Hasina herself or her close aides were indicating you and calling you derogatory names even back then, kind of like comparing you to a cliche name of a servant in Bangladesh and kind of lingering that name with your name somehow. I remember that part.
You want to know the truth?
Yeah, what is it?
I don't pay any attention to that. I didn't
That's
pay
good.
any attention to it then. I don't pay any attention to it now.
That's
All
good.
I did the one thing every diplomat is supposed to do. I work to advance the interests of the United States government. That's all a diplomat does. Of any country,
Hmm.
you advance the interests of your own country. That's what I was doing, and uh, I know that the prime minister, as we just laughed, wasn't that terribly fond of me. But I worked very closely with everybody in her government.
Hmm.
Yeah, with no exceptions. I could go to all of those ministers, and the U.S. had very dynamic programs at that time, and we worked with those ministers, and we worked very effectively. And I'm very proud of our legacy in
Hmm.
advancing health and family planning and agriculture and environment, so many areas,
Hmm.
and human rights. Even though she wasn't fond of these, we did these things. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. Last question on this very topic. When you just said that you were conveying these messages of the symptom of becoming fascist or authoritarian type of government to your Washington counterpart. Back then, did USA uh, took any initiative or any kind of effort to sustain the democracy in Bangladesh?
I'm sorry, you cut out, so I missed your question.
Yeah, sorry. I was asking you that, as you just said, that you were conveying your concerns of Hasina's regime becoming authoritarian back then. When you conveyed those messages to Washington, did US have any initiative, any kind of effort to restore democracy back then?
Well, the U.S. government, which I represented, and I was responsible for engagement on the ground in Bangladesh. Yes, we tried to support. We did support the democratic process. We had very active programs
Hmm.
supporting the engagement, for example, of women at the local level. Oh my goodness,
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I went to villages and sat down with 40 women discussing how they can get involved in local governance. And we did that all over the country, promoting uh, democracy at the grassroots level. But we
Hmm.
also tried to promote it at the national level. And you may recall in 2014, I went to New Delhi uh, to engage with the government of India, along with the
Hmm.
U.S. ambassador in Delhi, uh,
Hmm.
on the importance of supporting the democratic process in Bangladesh. So
Hmm.
we had very encouraging discussions behind closed doors. Publicly, they maybe stated their views a little bit differently, but I think in their hearts they actually agreed with me.
Yeah. Was that the reason that Hasina was not a great fan of yours, or what is the main reason?
Well, I think it goes back further than that. Um, my predecessor uh,
Hmm.
was uh, under instructions from Washington to urge Sheikh Hasina to lighten her touch vis-a-vis Professor Muhammad Yunus. As you
Hmm.
know, there was
Yeah.
some ill
Tensions.
will from her side.
Yeah.
And so she despised him.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, and he was the nicest guy in the world.
Are you talking
And
about James Moriarty? Who are you talking about right now? Who is
yeah,
your?
he was my
Okay.
predecessor.
Hmm.
And I don't know how well you knew him, but he's just
I
a
know him. Yeah.
wonderful man.
Yeah.
And I can't believe anybody would despise him, but anyway, Hasina did. And so all of a sudden, I plopped down, and all of that vitriol that she had toward Mariette for Jim, uh, that all turned on me.
Yeah.
And
You inherited all of those.
I inherited all that. Well, what do you say to that? I mean, fine. Uh,
Yeah.
I I I, I did urge uh, at that she engage productively with Professor Eunice because it's just the right thing to do. Well, she
Hmm.
didn't care for that, and I guess from her view, it went downhill from there. But let me tell you this: it's very her views about me. I think are a bit complicated.
Hmm.
Everybody knows she didn't like me, but not everybody knows, perhaps, that she enabled me to do something that's, I can't believe as I look back, I actually did this. Uh, Visit all 64 districts of Bangladesh.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
how, I don't
I
know if
didn't
you
visit all of
visited.
them. No, I didn't visit all of
No,
them. I
nobody's
probably didn't
visited
visit
all
half
six.
of them, to be very honest.
Well, most expatriate Bangladeshis visit two, their home district and Dhaka. But
Right.
I visited all 64, and she enabled me to do that. She
Hmm.
laid on security. Every time I went into a district, I had security. I had
Hmm.
access to official guest houses. I had
Hmm.
access to local government officials. When I went to Gopalganj, her home district, she assigned a family member to escort me around the district, show me
Hmm.
the sights of the district. So I don't know. She didn't have to do that,
I
but
mean,
she did it.
I guess she just wanted to paint a better picture of her roles and Bangladesh overall to a foreign guest like you. I think that may be her
Yeah,
psyche. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. You'll have to ask her. She never told me, but
I'll
I was.
I'll ask her. Believe me, I'll ask her if I find her.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, I wish you good luck.
All right.
But I
Yeah.
benefit from that, and I'm thankful.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you were just saying that this is a very special moment for Bangladesh, right? Everybody is probably standing in the lines of voting polls, booths right now. In your opinion, how credible do you think this ongoing Bangladesh election will be at the end?
Well, I've been quite impressed with the electoral process thus far.
Hmm.
There was some naysaying at the outset, but look at the campaigning. It's been relatively nonviolent. By
Hmm.
Bangladeshi standards, it's remarkable.
That's
Uh,
correct.
the media has been active. Candidates were duly selected through processes, and uh, I'm pretty I'm encouraged by the steps that have happened thus far. I hope and I call upon all Bangladeshis to, first of all, participate and vote,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
secondly, do so in a peaceful manner. And I urge, thirdly, that they accept the results of
Hmm.
the election, whatever they may be. Uh,
Hmm.
I think these elections are off to a very good start, and I think they're going to be free, fair, and credible. And and what an achievement for Eunice and his team! Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Here is the biggest question. I don't know if you're aware. Since 5th August revolution, you call it revolution or people's uprising, whatever that is, there is a huge rise in support of the Islamic political parties in Bangladesh. Jamaat-e-Islami is gaining so much popularity. It is now fighting head to head in the polls with the other big political party, BNP. My question to you, from your experience and expertise, can you tell us, will the US work with the newly elected government of Bangladesh, regardless of the election outcome?
Well, first of all, I must say that during my time in the 6 years I lived and worked in Bangladesh, I had ongoing contact with Jamaat and other Islamic parties, and
Hmm.
I believe in their heart. Uh, they're true patriots of Bangladesh. There may be certain parts of their agenda that I would find uh, less uh, uh, positive,
Hmm.
but that's not the point. I think they're legitimate players in the Bangladeshi scene, and I think they have become increasingly so under the current leadership. And
Hmm.
and you asked the question as to U.S. engagement should the Jamaat uh, emerge
Hmm.
victorious. Oh, parenthetically, I have to say, don't pay too much attention to those polls. I mean, I don't pay any attention in the U.S., and I don't think I would break that by paying attention too much to Bangladeshi polls. But I think
Hmm.
everyone would agree that the Jamaat, for one, has come up in terms of popularity.
Hmm.
So you asked me a question, what would the U.S. response be? Well, first of all, I have to say, I am talking with you and with whomever's viewing this program as
Hmm.
a private U.S. citizen. I am not associated with the government of the United States.
Not
So
anymore.
not anymore. Yeah, yeah, I had my time, and I loved it so much.
Hmm.
But no, now I'm a private citizen. And by the way, I like this too because I can speak a bit more openly about what I feel. So when I answer your question, which, let's be honest, that's speculation. Nobody knows how this election is going to come out. But let's
Hmm.
say Jamaat were to emerge victorious. So what does the U.S. do? I tell you
Hmm.
what the U.S. does. It gets on with it. We work with Jamaat, we work with BNP, we work with whomever it is who might
Hmm.
emerge victorious. And why is that, you might ask? I've already answered the question because
Hmm.
the role of the embassy, of the diplomats representing America in Dhaka is to advance America's interests. How do
Hmm.
we do that in Bangladesh, the eighth largest country in the world, by the way? Don't forget that.
Hmm.
Uh, we engage. We engage with the government. Uh, and we'll have areas of agreement, many areas of agreement. In fact, all of the most of the political parties of Bangladesh essentially agree on a large number of key points.
Hmm.
So America and any Jamaat-led government, should there be one, would have many areas of convergence, and we will have areas of disagreement, and we'll make our views known. That's fine. We did that with Hasina and Khaleda Zia and others as well. Uh,
Hmm.
that's, I mean, that's how it goes. We have
Yeah.
governments all over the world. We might not be terribly fond of the government sitting in the big chairs, but we work with them to our benefit and usually to the benefit of the other country as well.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for clarifying it. I hope my viewers and whoever will be watching this show even in the future will give a very good perspective of the U.S. lenses of how to work or how to engage in democratically elected government, regardless of their political views and not. Let me ask you, Ambassador Mozena, this. Does the US have an independent foreign policy for Bangladesh, or it views Bangladesh through the India's perspective? Why I'm asking this? Because a couple of years ago, there was a saying, I should say, there was a request, I believe, from India's side to US to view Bangladesh from their lenses. And also, one of your responses, you mentioned in 2014, I believe, you went to New Delhi, which is the capital of India, to talk democracy on Bangladesh. Can you explain that?
Yes, because the Bangladeshi government of that time uh, valued the views and inputs of India.
Hmm.
So that was that engagement. But this is a canard about, oh, the U.S. sees Bangladesh through the lens of India. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. Look, uh, I've been engaged 6 years in Bangladesh.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you this, I'm looking you straight in the face. I don't know if you can tell. Uh, I never once, uh, America never once looked at Bangladesh through the eyes of India. We
Hmm.
People who say that forget what is a diplomat doing? And I've already said this twice. I'll say it 3 times. Uh, an American diplomat is advancing the interests of the United States of America. Full stop. There's no second sentence. There's no second paragraph. That
Hmm.
is it. What does a Bangladeshi diplomat do in Washington, D.C., where I live? Advances the interests of Bangladesh. That's what he's
Hmm.
supposed to do, he or she. And that's what
Hmm.
we do. Where does India come into this? From the American perspective, and we have a large mission in Dhaka. We were engaged in so many different ways in supporting the people of Bangladesh. Why would you need to go to any other country to talk to the Bangladeshis? You got
Hmm.
175 million of them right there out the front door.
Yeah,
You just talk to them.
yeah. You just said it, but also we cannot ignore the fact that India tries to meddle in Bangladesh's affairs, especially when it comes to election and governing, selecting the governing party. For example, very recently, India withdrew the family members of the diplomat from Bangladesh. I believe that only happens in a war zone, maybe. How do you interpret India's this very action?
Yeah, I'm aware that they did that.
Giving some perspective that since Dr. Yunus's government took place, India constantly ran misinformation, disinformation campaign against Bangladesh. Please go ahead.
Well, to answer your first question about the dependence being withdrawn, I'm aware of that, of course. Uh, you'll have to ask the Indians why they thought that was necessary. I have no idea. The United States will withdraw dependence, will draw down the staff in a situation where that's mandated by security concerns. Uh, I'm not aware of security concerns in Bangladesh that would behoove any country to pull staff out and to pull dependents out. So I don't have an insight into the Indian decision to do that.
Mhm.
So you'll just have to call somebody in Delhi, have them on your show, and ask them.
Yeah, I'll probably interview Bina Sikri as well, if you remember her.
Yeah, yeah, you do that.
Okay.
What was your? I I I,
Yeah.
I forgot the second part of your question.
Yeah. Second part is like the India's meddling in the Bangladesh's affairs. Like they always have been meddling with so many the bilateral and non-bilateral treaties and whatnot. And the July uprising was actually took place. People getting fed up, not only Hasina, also the Indian hegemony, I would say.
I think it's unfortunate that Delhi perceives that its interests are advanced by trying to influence directly the internal affairs of Bangladesh. I don't think that is a very successful approach to a bilateral relationship.
Mhm.
If you're looking at the medium and long term, okay, maybe you win a victory over a couple of weeks, but that's not sustainable. And I'll tell you something else.
Mhm.
After living 6 years in Bangladesh, I know a couple things. And one thing I know is that the people of Bangladesh will not tolerate this. And we
Don't.
see that.
They
No,
didn't. They just
they
didn't.
don't. They didn't and they don't.
Hmm.
And you don't have to be Einstein to know this. You
Right.
really don't. You don't. The Bangladeshi people are what they are.
Hmm.
And they're remarkable people, in my view. And it's obvious to anybody who knows anything about the people of Bangladesh, they will never ever put up with this.
Yeah.
And like we just said, I'm going to repeat myself. They didn't and they don't. And now Delhi ends up holding an empty bag. And it's
Hmm.
all of their own doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And this,
from my point
this
of
is
view, the
I
Modi
want to finish my
government.
I want
Yes,
to finish
please,
my
please go
thought.
ahead.
This is
Yeah.
what I was trying to discuss with the Indians
Hmm.
in 20 before the 2014 elections, that their interests, and to me this is self-evident, no big
Yeah.
secret, their interests are best advanced uh, by supporting democracy, the democratic process,
Hmm.
and let the people of Bangladesh themselves, they don't need India or America or anybody else to help them. Let them by themselves select their government. That's how the best way any nation can advance their own interests in Bangladesh.
Now I'm getting curious. Were you able to have that fruitful conversation with your Indian counterpart? What response did you get back then? Because 2014 election was very questionable. It was a sham election.
Well, I could say it's beyond very questionable. Yeah, it was a sham election. Anyway, it was all in the newspapers the next day. Behind closed doors, they agreed with me. I mean, who could disagree that
Hmm.
one nation's uh, interests are best served
Right.
by supporting the democratic process and
Hmm.
not picking winners and losers in a neighboring country? Who's going to disagree with that?
No, you can't. You simply can't.
Yeah. And so behind closed doors, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But as soon as I left town, then
Yeah.
they, of course, went back to their old ways. And
Hmm.
they had to continue meddling and meddling and meddling. And now they end up holding the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Their favorite cheerleader, Hasina herself, has to flee to India, obviously. And in my point of view, the biggest mistake of Indians' diplomacy is that they didn't want the friendship with the people of Bangladesh. They just want friendship to a particular political party. Now the particular political party is outstaged, and now India doesn't have a friend to friend in Bangladesh anymore. As you said, by doing all this questionable actions. They kind of wanted to get all. Now they're having left with almost nothing.
But never forget the basics. And we've now discussed this several times. I'm going to just mention it again. Uh, Bilateral relationships, diplomatic engagement are always driven by one's own interests.
Hmm.
So, is it in the interest of India to have a forever confrontation with its neighbor?
Hmm.
Is that in its interest? A
No,
neighbor
obviously no.
through whose territory it has to pass to reach its northeastern states? No, you've
Yeah.
answered the question. That's not in its interest. And let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you, I lived and served in India. It's a wonderful country filled with wonderful people, and they have this all figured out. So they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to stay in a perpetual confrontational relationship with Dhaka. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to find common ground and engage. There's lots of common ground. India needs Bangladesh. Bangladesh needs India, especially as it relates to the water flow through the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a major issue. I was
Mm-hmm.
there during the horrific floods. I know all about that. Uh, so I think sooner or later the Indians will come back to having a productive relationship with Bangladesh. The ball is in India's court. Uh,
That's correct.
Yunus reached out, and that's fine. He did, Bangladesh went part way, and now, it needs to be reciprocated. And I'm telling you, I fervently believe it will be reciprocated. Not because anybody's being nice, it's because all the players are interested in advancing their national interests. It always comes back to that.
Hmm. That's correct. Ambassador Mozena, would you tell me how important is Bangladesh to U.S. foreign policy and in the region, considering India, China, and other neighboring countries?
Oh, well, I would say Bangladesh does not loom at the top of any list of U.S. national security or other national interests. It
Mhm.
simply doesn't. Um, it's far away, and people don't know much about it.
Mhm.
And well, okay. Uh, as I benefited from that because
Okay.
I I worked very closely with Washington, of course. I went to
Mhm.
Washington 4 times a year for each of the 3 years I was ambassador. That's 12 trips I went to Washington, sat with my boss,
Mhm.
the assistant secretary, and uh, and we discussed Bangladesh and its importance. And then at the end of each discussion, I was told to take care of this relationship, nurture this relationship, and if there are any crises coming down the pike, she wants to be the first to know. And so this is an ambassador's dream come true. I
Mhm.
had all the assets I needed and the support from Washington to advance America's interests as I saw best. Uh, I think that's part of the reason I was so happy there as to be ambassador.
Yeah, let's talk about Yunus-led government. In your point of view, what are the successes or failure of this Yunus-led government, especially in foreign policies and foreign relations?
Well, well, there are so many ways to answer this. I'm going to repeat what I said. Eunice was a perfect choice to lead the nation during this transition period. I just can't imagine anyone else. Uh, I think his performance and his team, the interim government, I think it's been extraordinary.
Mhm.
Has it been perfect? Oh my goodness, no. And could things have been better? Oh my goodness, yes. But that's always the case. Uh, I mean, can you imagine this? When he gets a phone call and saying, "Oh, Professor Eunice, you got to come in here and take over this thing," then, which of course was a
He
disaster
was
and
he
all.
was probably in a surgery in a hospital bed back back
Yeah,
when he got the phone call in Paris.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, can you imagine that? Well, anyway, it's true. You don't have to imagine it. That's what happened, and so I really applaud Mohammed Yunus. Uh, I think he's tried to lay a solid foundation for these elections. Uh,
Mhm.
I wish Bangladeshis were more engaged on what I think is one of the legacy of his legacies and the students' legacies is the referendum that's on the
Mhm.
ballot today.
Yeah.
Um, that's a critical referendum. And I hope that it's endorsed with a resounding affirmative uh,
Hmm.
to lay out, to explore new ways of strengthening the democratic process in Bangladesh. History over recent decades has shown it needs work
Hmm.
because it failed and
Hmm.
it led way to authoritarianism. And the country doesn't need to do that again. It needs to find a way. And one way would possibly be through reforming the institutions, a way to reduce the prospects of going down that negative path of authoritarianism. It doesn't need to do that again. Uh,
Hmm.
and so these elections, I think, are a big part of his legacy. I think the referendum that's going to be on the ballot, that is on the ballot, I think that's important. I hope Bangladeshis endorse that referendum. And most importantly, I hope that whatever government emerges, Jamaat, BNP, or somebody else, will take those results seriously and make them reality.
Hmm.
Uh, don't stick them on a shelf and don't talk about them. Make them reality.
Yeah.
Uh, Start to implement the reforms that balance the powers better between the president and the prime minister, uh, institutional changes, structural changes to parliament, whatever other steps to strengthen the democratic process in Bangladesh. That's what I hope the next government will do.
Yeah, no, nobody could articulate the importance of the referendum, I believe, better than you. You rightly pointed it out. You know what, Ambassador Mozena, earlier I was asking you the question about the rise of Jamaat. One of the main reason for this is actually Jamaat's commitment to implement the referendum. On the other hand, BNP, even though it's the largest political party, they have been showing some negligence in implementing the referendum itself. For example, in their election manifesto, they did not consider the upper house and the lower houses. They kind of wanted it to be the proportionate of the lower houses, same, not as a PR or anything like that. Now the people are questioning if that is the case, then the balances of power is not established. So that's why people are more, considering the Jamaat and NCP-led political party, in my personal opinion. Anyway, let me ask you this:
I
when the
want to comment on that. I think
yeah,
I
please
think
go ahead.
that's reasonable. Uh, you know, the BNP did join the consensus in support of reform, but as I watch it, of course, I'm thousands of miles away. I'm not so sure about that commitment.
Hmm.
We'll have to see. Uh, but I think voters are looking at that, and I
Yeah,
think voters want change. They don't
they
want
do.
15 more years of what they've just been through.
2,000 lives cannot be just wasted. They gave their blood on the street for these changes. It's not just bringing another same type of political party and system in place. I think you are frozen. Can you hear me?
Uh, yes, I'm here. All of those losses cannot be for nothing.
Hmm.
And I
That's
think
right.
Bangladeshi voters are going to make sure they're not for nothing.
Yeah. Uh, Ambassador Mozina, from your vast experience of foreign service and diplomacy, would you tell us what should be the priorities for the new government in Bangladesh to improve U.S.-Bangladesh relationship?
Well, I'm going to pretend you didn't add the last clause. I think the priorities for the new government, whatever it is, uh, are going to will be to solidify the democratic processes in Bangladesh. There
Hmm.
must be follow on fair, free, credible elections with full participation.
Hmm.
That's the number one agenda. Vis a vis the United States, uh, I think one of Professor Eunice's legacies, and I really applaud him for this,
Mm-hmm.
is he early on recognized that the new administration in Washington uh, was something different
Mm-hmm.
than what Bangladeshis have seen for the last 7 decades.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that, and he reached out and continuously engaged with the new administration, and engaged with them on terms that advanced Bangladesh and touched the American side, because
Yeah.
it was different, and the heavy focus on economic issues, for example. So Eunice's team engaged, resulting in lower uh, tariffs on Bangladeshi goods. I mean, this is a real credit to Professor Eunice. I give him high marks for this, and I think the new government will have to continue the same thing. Uh, Forget about how life had been vis-a-vis the United States under earlier administrations. This is different, and you have to accept these differences. It doesn't mean you have to like them or dislike them. That's not the point. The point
Mm-hmm.
is they are what they are, and it's Bangladesh, as always, with its focus on advancing its own interests, needs to engage with the United States. It's number one investor. It's number one export market, and a major partner.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to engage with the United States. And Eunice did that successfully. The new government must build on Eunice's legacy and continue to strengthen that. Okay, big talk about tariffs. Well, tariffs matter a lot to a country like Bangladesh that is
It
a
does.
mainly exporting country. So you need to sustain these purchases of Boeing's, for example, that Eunice has uh, uh, brought about, and you need to engage the administration at where it is,
Mm-hmm.
not pretend it's something else. It is what it is, and you need to engage with it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Ambassador Mozena, there are a lot of Bangladeshis living in the United States now, and I see every year hundreds and thousands of students coming to US universities for bachelor, master's, or PhD programs. Any advice for Bangladeshi diaspora who are living in United States? Is there any way they could contribute to strengthen the relationship between Bangladesh and USA?
Well, first of all, I have to point out that as ambassador, I said I went to the United States 4 times a year, 12 times over my 3 year tenure. And each of those 4 times, I spent up to a week visiting the Bangladeshi diaspora in the US. Let me tell you, I don't know if there's any other diaspora that has flourished the way the Bangladeshi diaspora has. They're
Mm-hmm.
movers and shakers. They're movers and shakers in the American political process. They're very engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and they're movers and shakers in terms of supporting Bangladesh, especially through remittances. Uh, a huge flow of remittances from the United States back to Bangladesh that plays an important role. Uh, I think Bangladeshis should remain engaged in their native country and support the democratic processes there. I'm very engaged with the diaspora here in the United States. And one of the things I ask is, do the kids know Bangla? Because they have to know Bangla. Because
Right.
if you're a Bangladeshi and uh, you want that culture, those roots,
Yeah.
cultural roots to flourish. Bangla is part of it, especially in Bangladesh, where the language is so important, more so than in other countries, perhaps. Uh, so, but I think the diaspora can do much to support democracy
Mm-hmm.
in Bangladesh. One way, as I was hinting, but I'll say explicitly, is by example. And Bangladeshi politicians, they're movers and shakers here, and Bangladeshis back in Bangladesh can take that example of
Yeah.
how do they do it. They're not buying votes; they're winning votes, all
Mhm.
above board. So that's a good example.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that during this July uprising, the diaspora people actually came and took a strong stance. They stopped sending remittance to this fascist government until they correct themselves, and that was a hit on the country's economy, and that probably uh, make it easier the fall of Hasina, I believe. Last question, Ambassador Mozina, it's going to be a tough one, I promise you. Uh, you are 77 years old. You look much younger. You are very active. What is the secret?
First of all, I'm only 76, so and I don't think I look a day younger. Uh, I don't know what the secret is, other than I'm an exercise freak. But I think it's important to believe in things, and I believe in Bangladesh. And I'm not saying that as a throwaway line. The people and the country have mesmerized me for decades, and
Mhm.
I love being engaged with Bangladeshis. Uh, uh, like right now, I mean, here I've been going for Bangladesh, 11 years or something. Here we are, uh, because I believe in this so much. Uh, as an American, I am so proud. I am so proud of the role that America played in supporting the development process in Bangladesh. Don't forget, in 1971, uh, the then Secretary of State, Kissinger, was told by U. Alexis Johnson, the number 3 guy at State Department, that Bangladesh is an international basket case. Well, they're both dead now, but I wish they both were alive so they could see. I want them to see with their eyes that Bangladesh, not an international basket case, it's in the middle income ranks of nations of the world.
Mhm.
It's true. Go. It's true. And if anybody doesn't believe it's true, just go and you'll see it yourself. Challenges are many. I don't diminish that,
Mhm.
but they face them. And now if they can get this democratic process solidified, so they can have free, fair, credible election after free, fair, credible election. That's what I want to see.
Thank you so much. One question from our one of the viewers. They are requesting or asking if you know any bit of Bengali by any
Oh,
chance.
came on, watch it.
Thank you
No.
so much for that. Thank you so much for that. With that positive note and all the hopes and all the belief you just described, Ambassador Dan Mozena, thank you so much from
Oh,
the heart of Bangladeshi people for your kind time, for your valuable advice, and we are look forward to connecting with you even more on the upcoming issues and dialogues and whatnot.
thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to those future discussions. There will be much to talk about.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.